If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today to get started. Hello, self-developers, and welcome to the Patrick Kelly Podcast for Self-Development, where I will be reviewing audible books on self-development that can change your life for the better this year and years to come. It is said that if we keep on doing what we always did, we will keep on getting what we always got. In other words, to change our output, we first have to change our input. Today is April 24th, 2022, and this is episode 17 of season 2. And today we'll be reviewing the audible book, The Oz Principle, Getting Results Through Individual and Organizational Accountability by Roger Connors. This audible book will teach you how to take responsibility and be accountable for your own results by continually staying above the line of being a victim of your circumstances. While losers languish below the line, preparing stories that explain why past efforts went awry, winners reside above the line, powered by commitment and hard work. Above the line means steps to accountability, like do it, solve it, own it, see it. Below the line means steps to being a victim, like ignore it, say it's not my job, finger pointing, confusion, and tell me what to do, wait and see if things change. People and organizations find themselves thinking and behaving below the line whenever they consciously or unconsciously avoid accountability for individual or collective results. Stuck in what we call the victim cycle, they begin to lose their spirit and will until eventually they feel completely powerless. Only by moving above the line and climbing the steps to accountability can they become powerful again.
Chapter 1.
Off to see the wizard. Bring accountability into the American character. The power to rise above victimizing circumstances and obtain desired results lies within oneself. People and organizations find themselves thinking and behaving below the line whenever they consciously or unconsciously avoid accountability for individual or collective results. Stuck in what we call the victim cycle, they begin to lose their spirit and will until eventually they feel completely powerless. Only by moving above the line and climbing the steps to accountability can they become powerful again. When individuals, teams, or entire organizations remain below the line, unaware or unconscious of reality, things get worse, not better, without anyone knowing why. Rather than face reality, sufferers of this malady oftentimes become ignoring or pretending not to know about their accountability, denying their responsibility, blaming others for their predicament, citing confusion as a reason for inaction, asking others to tell them what to do, claiming that they can't do it, or just waiting to see if the situation will miraculously resolve itself.
Chapter 2.
The Yellow Brick Road. Getting stuck in the victim cycle. There is a line between accountability and victimization that separates rising above your circumstances to get the results you want and falling into the victim cycle where you can easily get stuck. Neither individuals nor organizations can stay on the line between these two realms because events will inexorably push them in one direction or the other. While both people and organizations can exhibit accountability in some situations, yet manifest victim behavior in others, some issue or circumstances will arise to influence them to think and act from either an above the line or below the line perspective. Even the strongest commitment to accountability will not prevent you from ever falling below the line. That sort of perfection is not humanly possible. Everyone, even the highest achievers, can get stuck in the victim cycle on occasion, but those who are truly accountable never remain there for long.
Chapter 3.
There's no place like home. Focusing on results. Pop psychology, whether intentional or not, has often encouraged people in contemporary society to blame all their woes and problems on a single or few experiences in their lives, thus promoting a lack of accountability for current and future behaviors, attitudes, and feelings. It is not unusual for people to explain their nightmares, eating disorders, compulsive cleanliness, anxieties, drive for self-improvement, physical ailments, financial problems, and impatience with others on some singular problem or experience that occurred earlier in their lives. Blaming everything on their past physical, emotional, or psychological wounds, they explain their vulnerability to fad diets, their awkwardness in relating to their children, or their feelings of alienation and loneliness as if no other modern adult had these problems. The fact is, whether you are a true victim or a pseudo-victim, you will never overcome a hurtful past until you develop a present and future-oriented view of your accountability for getting more out of life. To achieve such a shift in how you view things, you must start with a better, more proactive definition of accountability.
Chapter 4.
The lion, mustering the courage to see it. Even the most accountable people get stuck in the victim cycle from time to time, and sometimes people who are otherwise very accountable can get stuck on a particular challenge. Regardless of whether you're stuck below the line all the time or only on a particular pesky problem, you must still take the first step out of the victim cycle by recognizing that you are stuck in a circle of denial. That recognition requires the courage to acknowledge the reality of your situation, no matter how unpleasant or unfair that reality may seem. Without such acknowledgement, you can never expect to respond to it effectively. According to Andrew S. Grove, chairman of Intel, as reported in a Fortune magazine article, there is at least one point in the history of any company when you have to change dramatically to rise to the next performance level. Miss the moment and you start to decline. The key is courage.
Chapter 5.
The Tin Woodsman, finding the heart to own it. People most often fail to own their circumstances because they cannot bring themselves to accept the accountability side of their story. To establish ownership, then, you must find the heart to tell both sides of the story, linking what you have done or failed to do with your current circumstances. Such a shift in perspective requires that you replace your victim story with an accountable one. However, seeing and owning the accountability side of a story does not mean suppressing or ignoring the victim facts. Rather, it means acknowledging and possessing the reality that you participate in and do not passively observe your circumstances.
Chapter 6.
The Scarecrow, obtaining the wisdom to solve it. Simply acknowledging reality and accepting your role in creating your circumstances will achieve little if you fail to take action, solving real problems and removing real obstacles on your road to results. To do so, you must exercise wisdom. The solve it attitude and behavior stem from continually asking the question, what else can I do to achieve the results I want? Constant and rigorous application of this question helps you avoid slipping back into the victim cycle whenever certain events occur that seem to block the road to results. Since solutions to pesky problems often do not readily reveal themselves, you must diligently search for them, but be aware of time spent below the line because it will dull your senses and discourage your imagination from discovering solutions you may have otherwise uncovered. Remember, getting above the line is a process, not a singular event, and the road to results is strewn with hindrances and obstacles that can easily thrust even the most accountable person back below the line, particularly if he or she stops asking the central question, what else can I do to rise above my circumstances and achieve the results I want.
Chapter 7.
Dorothy, exercising the means to do it. The do it step bestows accountability not just for activities, circumstances, or feelings, but for future accomplishment. When you combine the notion of accountability with the objective of accomplishing better results, you create an empowering and guiding beacon for both personal and organizational activity. This form of accountability comes after you have progressed through all 4 steps above the line. By stopping at any step short of do it, you may keep yourself out of the victim cycle, but you will never fully achieve a permanent position above the line. Any effort that falls short of making it happen and getting it done simply indicates a lack of full acceptance of accountability. Doing it requires that you work continuously to stay above the line, avoiding the occurrences inherent in daily circumstances and problems that can tempt you back below the line. Closing thoughts. On a scale of 1 to 5, I would give this audible book a solid 5 for providing critical information on how to stay accountable and never become a victim of your circumstances. To find out more about this audible book, go to www.audible.com and download this audible book, or Google Roger Connors to find out more information and other books written by the author. Remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform so you do not miss an episode. And also remember to please share this episode via text or email with friends and family and other people that you care about. Follow me on Twitter at Kelly Podcast or Instagram at @KellyPodcast. For more episodes of the Patrick Kelly Podcast for self-development, go to www.thepatrickkellypodcast.com. If you'd like to donate $1 or more to the support of this podcast, click the donate button at www.thepatrickkellypodcast.com or go to $Patrick Kelly Podcast on Cash App, and I'll be sure to thank you on the next episode. This is the end of this podcast for today. Tune in next week Sunday for the next episode and the next audible book of over 300 books that I'll be reviewing on the Patrick Kelly Podcast for self-development. If you enjoyed this podcast, take a moment to rate and review on Apple Podcasts. This really helps me out. Feel free to share this podcast with someone you care about. And remember, your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. Take care.